myself Dukhon Sahu, and I am here with you to discuss something about OData. So let's start. This slide shows some information about me. So this is the agenda of this seminar. We'll first discuss what is OData, then we'll see how this OData is different from SOAP and POX protocol. Then we'll see what are the OData server platforms. Then we'll create a demo using the WCF data service in order to use this OData service. We'll do the same using ASP.NET Web API, and finally we'll see some of the query operators and methods that will be used in the OData. So what is OData? OData stands for Open Data Access Protocol. It was defined by Microsoft in 2009 and it is now an open source. So that means you can change if something does not suit you, you can change. Also you can contribute to that open source project. So the official site is odata.org and it says OData is an open protocol which allows the creation and consumption of queryable and interpretable RESTful API in a simple and standard way. So it says that you can create a RESTful API in a simpler manner. So you can use HTTP verbs which support almost all verbs like get, post, put, delete, patch and merge. So patch and merge are HTTP verbs which are used for the partial update. So whenever we use put HTTP verb, we update all the properties of entity. For example, say we have a product entity which is having 50 properties. So whenever we do a put request in order to update the properties of the product entity, it updates all the properties except that product ID. So but sometimes we need to update only few properties. Say we want to update only the product name, so we can use that patch or merge. So merge is a custom verb which is defined only by Microsoft OData and it is not officially supported by HTTP. So you can use patch instead. Currently patch and merge both are supported by OData. And if you see, it is supporting all of the three major formatting which are used for data formatting in terms of request and response. By default, it support Atom POP, which is XML based. So Atom we mainly use for the blog purpose, and Atom POP is the advanced version where you can do update and delete operation. In Atom you can do only get request, but using Atom POP you can do update, delete, all these operations. Similarly, it also supports JSON and JSON Lite. We'll see the different response size using these three formats later. So let's see our old protocol, which is SOAP, which stands for Simple Object Access Protocol, and it is mainly the operation verb focused and it supports HTTP post only. So in the SOAP example I have added at the bottom of the slide, you can see it is adding all the content within S colon envelope tag. So all this data are present within this, and we have header and body. So the main content is present within S colon body. So it contains lot of metadata. So whenever we send the request to the server, so it is quite heavy due to this metadata. There is another protocol which is called POX. It stands for plain old XML. As the name suggests, it is XML based, so it is platform independent. So the request as well as the response are based on the XML format. So any POX needs to have an XML parser or maybe have a web client which should be able to send request using XML format as well as need to get the response which will be received in the XML format. Again, using SOAP and POX, we are limited to XML format, and we see previously that it is quite heavy due to this metadata. So we are forcing the user in order to make request as well as to receive the response in XML format. Let's see this REST architecture. Unlike the SOAP or POX, it is not a protocol, rather it is an architecture. So it stands for representational state transfer. So it represents the resources, which may be a list of products or a remote desktop or anything else. So It fully supports HTTP and it is less coupled to the server. Now we'll see how this OData is different from the other protocol like SOAP or POX. Since OData is based on AtomPub, so it supports XML, which is currently supported by POX or SOAP. Also, it supports other formats like JSON and JSON Lite. It fully supports HTTP verbs like get, post, put, delete, patch, and merge. It is platform and language independent. There are several server platforms like Node.js, PHP you can use in order to expose the OData service. So to consume the SOAP protocol, we need to create proxy classes as well as we need to do some serializer in order to consume this data. Also, we are doing whenever we are exposing that. But for the OData, we don't need this. The framework automatically handles how to serialize the data. And if you see, it is an open source project and it is quite simple, flexible, and lightweight. We'll create a demo. We'll see how we can create a OData service and expose within couple of minutes. Here are the list of server platform. You can find the same from the odata.org/ecosystem. And the first one is WCF data service. Currently, this WCF data service is supporting all of the format that is currently defined by OData. Apart from the WCF data service, we have SharePoint, Microsoft SQL Server Reporting Service, Windows Azure, ASP.NET Web API. We'll create a demo using the WCF data service and Web API, and we'll expose the OData service later. Apart from the Microsoft technologies, we have Node.js, PHP, Java, IBM OSPhere, DB2, Informix. So if you go to this URL that odata.org.ecosystem, you will find two terms there. One is called producer, another is consumer. So producer is like the server platform which is exposing the OData service. But consumer is like a simple web browser or anything which can consume that OData service which is exposed. So we'll now see how we can use WCF data service in order to expose the OData service. To use the WCF data service, you don't need any WCF knowledge. The name is like that WCF data service. So it currently implements all of the specifications of the OData service. And if you are using link provider, it is quite easy to expose that service. But if you are not using any link provider, that is any non-link data provider, then it is quite difficult to expose the same using WCF data service. So let me create a demo using this WCF data service. So I'm just going to create a empty web application. So there I will use entity framework data service. So I'm going to create new project from the C# template. I'm clicking this ASP.NET web application. Sorry. I'm just giving the name as OData seminar. I'm clicking OK. Now it is asking me to select a template. I'm clicking a empty template and clicking OK. So in order to use this WCF data service, we need to install this NuGet package, microsoft.data.services.client. And in this demo, I am going to use this entity framework for the data provider, and this is in version 6. So if you are using entity framework version greater than 6, then you need to install another NuGet package, which is microsoft.data.entity framework provider, which is currently pre-release version. So actually it is needed in order to do the serialization. So if you are using entity framework which is less than version 6, then you don't need this package. By default in the version 6 in entity framework, this dynamic proxy is failing for the serialization. That is why we are installing this package. So I'm going to install this NuGet package. entity framework. So it will install the latest version, which is currently 6.1.3. Yes, it is adding now. And also I need this NuGet package. Since I am using entity framework version 6, I need this NuGet package. So it has some dependency packages like Microsoft Data Service, and this is the major package which you will need for the OData service. It is adding all those packages. Yeah, we are ready to go. So what I want to do now, I want to add the EDMX file. So I'm going to new item, and under data tab I am selecting ADO.NET entity data model. I am using the Northwind database, which is Microsoft sample database. So I am giving the name Northwind model. Now it is asking me to choose the model content. So I'm going to create the model from the Northwind database. So I'm clicking next. I'm adding new connection here, giving the name of the server. And my database is Northwind. Okay, test connection succeeded. Clicking OK. I'm changing this name to Northwind entities. I'm clicking next. Now it is asking me to choose the database objects and settings. So for this demo, I am going to select only products table and leaving all these checkbox to the default value and changing this name to Northwind model and clicking the finish button. So the Visual Studio will create the EDMX file for us, and if everything succeeded, we will get a product entity here. So it is adding that, yeah, it is succeeded, and you can see we have EDMX open here. So now what I want to do, I want to add the WCF data service, which will expose the OData service. So I am right clicking here and choosing the new item. Under Visual C# template, I am choosing WCF data service here. So I am just giving the name data service.svc. So whenever you are exposing data service using WCF data service, you need to inherit your class using data service T. So T is the class name. So in our case, it will be Northwind entities. And since we are using Entity Framework version 6, we need to inherit from Entity Framework data service. So instead of data service, we need to use Entity Framework data service. This is only needed for the version 6 or later.
WCF data service is provided of OData.
Yes. So we have added this successfully, and you can see it is currently inheriting the data service. So we'll change it to Entity Framework data service. So it is adding this using block here, and you could see it is showing a to-do task. Put your data source class name here. So in our case, the data source name is Northwind entities. So I'm going to add it here. And if you see later, we have another to-do task. Set rules to indicate which entity sets and service operation are visible or updatable. So in our case, we have only one entity. So I'm going to pick this name, which is the entity set name here, and add here. I'm going to uncomment this one and putting the entity set name. And if you see the second parameter, it is showing the entity set rights. Currently, by default, it has added all read. So I can give different access like all read, or it is, you can add this or operator. entity set rights access rights dot all right. So we are ready. I'm just going to run this one. So we have only exposed this products data service. If everything was fine, we'll get a description here about the products. Yes, it worked. If you go to the dollar metadata, you'll get nice explanation of the metadata. It is currently showing that the entity type is product and it has key property named product ID, and these are the some of the other properties of this product entity. So I can write some OData syntax like if I will go to the products, which is the entity set name, it will list all the products. Currently Chrome is not doing the formatting, so I can try here. And if you see, the by default format is atom pop. If you see, the top one is field, so under field everything is nested, and the individual items means the individual records of the product entities are under the entry tag. So you can see this is the XML atom pop format. I can add few other syntax which is O database like dollar select, and if you see, this O data is case sensitive, so you need to keep that in mind. So I am just selecting the product name. So I am doing a projection here. It is only selecting the product name instead of all properties. I am selecting only the product name. So the syntax is dollar select. We'll see all other operators later. So what we did previously, we added entity say product and we expose that for the WCF data service. But sometimes it is needed that we need some service operation, means service methods. Like suppose we want to expose some custom data which cannot be accessed directly through the OData service. Suppose we want to expose some top products. So we have some business logic like we need to get all the 5 products which average cost is this and the number of customer who has bought this product is minimum this. We have several business logic. So this uh, method we can expose using the service operation. So for that one, we need to create a method inside that WCF data service, and we need to add this web get or web invoke attribute before this method name, and then you need to register the same. So what I am trying to say here is that suppose I want to add a product, sorry, method here, say public, and if you see, the return type should be iQueryable. In our case, the entities products, I'm getting get top products, and I'm just returning. I'm just creating a variable in order to access the data here. So I'm just returning underscore context dot products dot tech 2. So what I'm doing, I'm just taking the first 2 products and I'm just giving the webget attribute here. So I have just created a service operation here. If you want to expose this for the WCF data service, I need to register it here, and also I have some different service access here. So the name is get top products, and this is a set service operation access rule. So now I can access this get top products in the URL, which will give me the top 2 products. So I can give the inline count here. So I'm just trying to get the nice formatting here. So you can see I'm getting only 2 entries here. So using this WCF data service, you can expose the entity itself, or maybe you can create some custom methods depending upon on your need. And apart from that, what you can do, if you want to expose all the entities, suppose in my EDMX I have hundreds of entities, I don't want to add line by line here. And also I want in future, suppose I will add some other entities, I want to expose that entity by default. So what I can do, if I will put star here, by default what it will do, any entities which will be added in the EDMX, all will be exposed here. So I can access the products here. And if you want to access a product having ID1, you can give this within the parenthesis. So it will give me only one result. And so here we have used that EDMX file. You are not limited to use a custom data source which is present in the database, or maybe you want to provide your own logic. Maybe you have some CSV file or some custom data, you can expose that also using this data service. So for that one, what I have done here is I have just added a custom data service. And you can see I'm not using that entity framework data service. I'm using the base data service class. And you can see I have a custom class named student provider. I'm going to this class. You can see I have some hard-coded list of values here. And I have a single entity called student having two properties, name and roll number. The important point is here the data service key. For the OData, we need a key attribute. So in this case, the key attribute is name. So I have just given some sample data, and this I am exposing. So the important point here is also you need to return a IQable object. So in my case, I am returning students.IQable. So if I'll access this one, so in my case it is custom data service. So I am going to this URL. You can see I am getting all data. So you can also get the particular ID by using the key name. And if you see here, the key name is name. So I need to access like this. So I'm just giving the name as this. So it will give me only one data where the name is start04. So we saw how we can use this link provider to expose the WCF data service. So what I had done, I have only exposed all data, but sometimes it is needed, I want to put some interceptor. Like I want to limit who can do or who can access this WCF data service and what are the methods I want to expose. Maybe I want to limit only the get request and I want to prevent all the update, delete and create request. We can do using this interceptor. So there are two types of interceptors in this data service, WCF data service. One is query interceptor, another is change interceptor. So this query interceptor is mainly for the get request, and the change interceptor is for the non-get request, like for the create, update or delete operation. So for the query interceptor, we need the return type of that method, which will be a expression, and it takes the parameter of function, the entity name and a boolean parameter. Similarly, the change interceptor takes two parameters. One is the entity name, another is the update operation. So if we will see this interceptor in the WCF data here, you can see I am inserting entity framework data service since I am using entity framework version 6, and I have added two interceptor. One is query interceptor, which is taking the product name, sorry, the entity set name here, which is products, and you can see I have given a custom condition. So whatever the filter parameter I will get through the query string from the API, that means whatever user will provide in this URL, I will do a AND with this condition. So it is taking the unit price greater than 0 and unit price less than equal to 1000. So you can see I'm just rerunning this one. So I'm just going to products and I'm adding some filter condition. So this dollar filter is like where clause in the link. So we'll discuss more about this filter conditions. So I am requesting all the products where ID is equal to 10. So if you see, it is hitting this query interceptor, which is a GET request for this case. So what will happen? It will add this condition along with this. So it will bring all the products where ID is 10 and unit price is greater than 0 and less than equal to, sorry, 1000. In our case, it satisfied this condition, we'll get. So in this case, we can limit different condition for the different users. Also, this is the change interceptor. What we can do, whenever we want to limit, like someone cannot do the delete operation, we can prevent here. We can add custom message, or maybe you want to throw something. We can do the same using this change interceptor. It is mainly for the non-get requests. So this is the flow which shows that we will create a class which will inherit from the data service, and if you are using entity framework version 6, you need to inherit the same from the entity framework data service, and you will set up the entity, maybe whatever the entities, and if you want to expose all entities, you can use star there, and you can write some custom methods which are called service operation and provide different access rights, and you can also write your custom provider, and if you need, you can also do the interceptor using change or query interceptor. So we'll do some CRUD operation using this WCF data service. So for that one, I'll use this fiddler, which is the web debugger. So in my case, I'm going to request my custom provider here. So currently we have 78 records, and to do some add operation here. So in this URL, I want to go to add a new product. So for that one, I need to insert some data. So I'm just copying from here and adding here. I'm doing a post, and I need this content type to be application/JSON. So you can see my ID is 79 now, and I'm just going to execute this. So if everything works fine, it should able to add new product. I'm going to the XML. Yes, it added successfully, and the ID is 81. Let me execute the same. You can see I have a test product which name is test product 100, and the unit price is 5. You can find the same, and all the other values are null here, and discontinued is false. So I'm able to do a post request. Now I want to do a put request. So for that one, I need the ID. So in the OData, you need to put that ID within parentheses. So in my case, that ID is 81, and to change this name as well as the price to say $15. So I want to execute this one. So it should be updated. Yes, it updated successfully. Then I want to do a delete request. Before that one, I want to do a get request in order to make sure that everything is working fine. So for that one, I want to make a get request in this URL. So if you see, I'm getting all data here. This product name, this price, and all other values are empty. So yes, this get request succeeded, and to make the delete request. Yes, looks like it deleted successfully. Let me execute this one. Yes, it deleted successfully. So it is quite easy to do the CRUD operation using WCF data service. So for that one, you need to set the permission. By default, it added all read permission. So later I have changed this. If you mark it had changed this permission to all, and here I had given only all read or write. But if you want to put delete update all operation, you can give the all operation, all access here. Then we'll see how we can use this OData service using web API. So for that one, we need to inherit the class from the OData controller. Like in the WSF data service, we inherited from the data service. So similarly here, we need to inherit the class from the OData controller. And the GET request, whichever we are exposing to the web API WSF service, need to have iQueryable of entity. So in our case, we'll use this product entity, and for every method which you are exposing for the WSF data service, we need to add enable query or queryable. This queryable attribute is now deprecated. So the replace attribute is enable query. And if you are using entity framework, whatever entity you are exposing, they need to have key column, because that entity framework works using the key column, else it will not work. So what I want to do here is that I have already added a sample application which is using the default web API template. So I had added a ADMX file, and for testing I have added a product controller, and if you see, it is quite simple. And if you see, this product controller is inheriting from OData controller. So for that one, for exposing the GET request, what I have done, I have added a GET method. You can name it anything, but the important point is the return type should be iQueryable of T entity, and you need to add this enable query. So, and there is another single result, like in the WSF data service, whenever we are accessing by giving the ID here, we don't need to do anything special. But for the WSF data service, if you want to access the same using the ID property, you need to add a class, sorry, add a method which will have return type of single result of that context, and need to have key column as a parameter here. So if you see, we have a attribute named from OData URI. It is not from URI, it is OData URI, because the syntax is different here. Whenever we are using any MVC architecture, what we are doing, we are giving that ID equal to this. But in this case, we are giving ID in this manner within parentheses. So the to get that value, we have some custom code, like OData has written some custom code to fetch that ID from here. So to run this one, I'm just setting this as the startup project and running this one. So we need to do these things. Apart from that, we need to register the same in the web API.config. So if I'm going to the abstract folder, if you see, I have a web API.config, and here I need to register this one. So what it is doing, I'm just saying the web API that I want to expose these entities, products, orders, and customer. And in my EDMX, I have only 3 entities: this customer, order, and product. And whatever I'm doing here, I'm just using the default OData convention model builder and just adding this here. And the important point here is, whatever OData syntax you need to register after this map HTTP attribute routes is called, else you will get error. So for the root, what I have done, I have added the prefix as OData. So if I will go to that OData, see, I have these entities are exposed. I can get the whole metadata going to $metadata, this URL. So you can see all the export entities. It is giving some nice explanation, like what is the name and what is the type. So it is needed because this OData is case sensitive. So you need to keep this also in mind. So just I'm accessing this products collection here in order to make sure that this is working fine. And you can see by default it is returning the JSON format. Web API by default return JSON, but WCF data service, the default formatting is AtomPub, which is XML based. So here are the some query syntaxes. Like if you want to get the metadata about the exposed OData service, you can go to the URL dollar metadata, and here are the some of the highlighted query syntax. Like you can use dollar top, dollar skip. You can combine, and the order is not important. You can keep anything in order. So OData will take care of this, how to evaluate the query, and we will see more as we progress with the seminar. And this is the syntax, like how we'll provide the URL. If you see the official site, they have exposure or data service using the Northwind database. This is the service root URI. So whatever is up to .svc, which is a WCF service in our case, this is the root URI, and then you need to provide the resource path, which entities are exposed here. Then some of the query options, like in this case it is dollar top equal to order by, so it is ordering by name and taking the top two records. Here are the list of all the options which are available in OData. Like dollar filter, you need to remember that first it start with dollar, so it will not conflict with the other query string parameter. So dollar filter, it is like dot where in the link. For example, we can navigate to the URL dollar filter id greater than 10. So it will bring all the records where id is greater than 10. So it is like where query. Similarly, we have order by. So it is like the order by. You can do also ascending, descending order. Like in this case, order by title descending. Similarly, top to bring the top records, which is equivalent to dot tag. And we have skip. Select is used for the projection. Like we don't want to bring all the properties of a particular entity, we can use projection. Like in this case I have given title and price, so the product entities I want to bring only title and price. Similarly, inline count, so it is like count but it works in a different manner. The syntax is like inline count equal to all pages. It has two values, like all pages or none. If all pages is given, it calculates the query after that filter is applied. So suppose you have added 3 or 4 values like filter, order by, top, skip. Whenever the filter is applied in the query, whatever the result is given, it will calculate the count and give the value. We'll see how this inline count will be used. And this expand, dollar expand, it equal loads the entity. For example, suppose a product is related to vendor and we want to expand this vendor and to bring some vendor entity properties. So we can do this dollar expand equal to vendor. And dollar value is mainly used to remove this metadata. So for example, in this case, I am going to the products where id is 1 and bringing the title property and only bringing the value. So no data metadata will be taken, only that value. For Northwind database, I will get only chai, which is the having product id 1. So we'll see some query syntaxes in this URL, which is the OData service OData service URL. So just I'm going to that URL. So you can see these are the express properties here: product details, category, supplier, person details. So you can go to dollar metadata to get all the metadata information for the exposed OData service. So I want to first apply this filter attribute. So for this one, I'm going to products entity set. I want to bring all values where the id equal to 1. So it is giving me only one result. You can see all information are added here, and this is the order by syntax. So I can do a order by here also. And if you see, I told you this is case sensitive. So if you change the case, it will not work. So you need to keep this in mind. So it is purely case sensitive. And also you can use top, skip. I can apply the same here, like, and to append dollar top equal to 2. So you can append skip also here, dollar skip equal to 5. So you can also add projection like select only rating and relisted. So I want to add the same here in order to the projection. You can see the entries here. I'm just getting the rating and release date and rating. These values I'm getting here, and also I need to get the inline count. So the inline count, it will give me the count. So I have included all pages. All pages. That means it will give me the count. It will include none, so it will not include the count. So products, I copy it. Like it failed. So we can do the same here in my export service. So whatever I want to do is like I want to include dollar, say filter equal to, and to give product name equal to psi, which is present here, and also want to include dollar inline count equal to all pages. So looks like okay, it is my OData syntax. So I want to add the same here. So I have not. So currently OData is not supporting all the syntax like inline count. Previously the previous version was also not supporting that projection like the select query. But the OData service is currently supporting all the features. So this URL, it is currently saying that parameter is not supported. This is my web API version. So it is not supporting currently. I can test the same here. Look like I need to run this one. So it is currently running the web API application. I need to set this as startup project and need to run this one. Look like it worked. I can saw M count. Yes, you can see the M count is included here. It is only showing one result. You can see in our database the top product which ID is having one, the name matches, and it is giving only one count. You can do another thing for proper testing. What I am doing, I'm just including product ID greater than say 5, and product ID sorry, it is case sensitive, so in my case it is capital ID and it is less than 10, so I should be able to get 5 products. Again I'm trying in OData. Yes, I'm just searching for M count. Here it is in 4. Okay, I have given less than, so it is taking 6 to 9, so 4 records I'm giving as count. So also you can test this name. So dollar value for that one will not get any metadata information. So I'm going to the product having ID equal to 1 and bringing the name property, and I'm bringing only the value, not any metadata. You can see here, if it works fine, I should get a product with name milk, like this hand. Test the same here. And test the same here. Say products. I'm going one. Sorry, it is that one. Product having ID one. Give me the product name and dollar value. So I should give chai only. Okay. So if you see here, I have having ID one for product name chai. So if you see, I don't have any metadata property here. But if you go to only this one, you'll see lots of metadata.
So is there any syntax to change the format also?
Hello.
Like it's always returning as atom. So if we want to go for the JSON, that's
Yes, yes, you can provide that syntax also. Like dollar format equal to JSON or dollar format equal to atom. You can provide that one. So we'll see some of the logical operators which are used in OData. The list is like and can you and keep in mind that it is case sensitive. So and for the and operation, you can use or for or operation. Similarly, not equal to any, any for not equal to, LT for less than, GT for greater than, LE for less than equal to, G for greater than equal to. You can see I have included some example like here I am doing filtering by ID where ID is less than equal to 105 and ID is greater than 100. So you can use not equal to also like this name is not equal to chai. Similarly, you can use some of the arithmetic operator like add is for addition operation, sub equal for subtraction operation, mul for multiplication, and similarly d for division and mod for modulo operator. You can add like id where add 5 greater than 10, and similarly you can use sub, mul, div, modulo. There are some of the functions also like you have used operator, you can use function. You can mark here the substring is a function here. So these are the list of the function currently supported by OData like substring, substring of, length, index of, starts with, ends with, insert, remove, replace, to load, to upper, concat, and trim. So substring has two different syntax. Like it can take two parameter or three parameters. So if it takes two parameter, what will happen? It starts with index 0. So any product, for example, in our case, chai is the product. So it will take the name and it will start from index 1. So it will take hey. It will return the result as hey. Similarly, if you are using two parameter substring method, then it will start from 1 and will take the length has 2. So in our case, it will result as HA. Similarly, you can use substring of, like it will check whether the name has substring LK and this is true. Similarly, you can use index of, starts with, replace. You can use some of the replace syntax like here I am doing a replace. I'm replacing hyphen with empty string and checking whether the name is equal to test. You can do to lower, to upper. Similarly, you can trim and check whether the value is matching with some result string or not. Here are the date function. You can use this. Currently, we have date function like hour, minute, second, day, month, and year. So you can add the filter like, and if you keep in mind that these are methods, so you can use like this syntax. So whatever I'm doing here is like I'm filtering the employees. Give me all the employees where birthday year is equal to 1989. So similarly, you can use this minutes, seconds, day, month, year methods. There are some math functions also. You can use that also. Suppose you want to do some rounding operation under some decimal value or float value, you can use this round method. Similarly, you can use floor or ceiling. Currently, we don't have any aggregate method supported in OData. So if you want to do some average or sum, you can write some custom service method and you can expose the same. So here are the response format. So I will show you how the response format is varying depending upon the different type. So for that one, I'm just going to this URL in the fiddler. So I'm just doing a get request and I'm just providing the format as atom, which is the default format in WCF data service. So I'm just giving the name here and I'm getting all the products. So currently the response is not yet arrived. So we'll wait. It is quite heavy, around 29 kilobytes. Look like it failed. Okay, let me request again. Okay, yes, it succeeded now. It is showing that it is around 30 KB. And let me try the same using different format. Here I am using JSON verbose. So I'm just changing the accept form, and it is OData equal to verbose. So you can see it is quite half of the size. You can see the raw here. And finally I want to check the JSON light. You can see how the size is varying. The default size, which is the WCF data format, is the atom pub, which is around 30 KB. And whenever you are using JSON verbose, the size is reduced to half, which is around 15 KB. And if you are using JSON, which is the default data format in Web API, that is called JSON Lite, it is around having 4 KB.
What is the difference between them?
Actually, the loss of metadata is coming here. If you
Between JSON verbose and JSON.
so some of the links, okay, I'm showing you what is happening. If you see the XML, sorry, it is JSON format, you can see we have lots of metadata like metadata ID, type, URI. These all are included when I am using verbose. But whenever I am using this one, so you can see there is no metadata, only data is included. So that is why the size is varying. So you can use depending upon your size. So the size order is like atom pub is quite heavy, and which is less in for JSON verbose, and JSON Lite is very less size. And so here is the recap. So we first saw what is OData and discuss how it is different from SOAP, POX. Then we saw the server platforms and some of the consumers, and how we'll create the OData service using WCF data service, and we can how we can add the interceptor like using query interceptor or change interceptor. Then we implemented the same using the web API. We saw the different filter parameters as well as the select top all these operators. Then we discussed some of the logical and arithmetic operators. Finally, we discussed some of the string and date functions as well as the math functions. So basically, it is not OData is not a replacement for SOAP or POX. But if you want to expose a large amount of data and you want to provide uh, flexible to the user, suppose say one user want to bring 100 records at a time, and if you are using SOAP or POX, you have only one method which is returning 50. And suppose some client complains that I need 100 records, so then you need to add another say method which will expose that one. In this way, you will end up writing hundreds of methods. But using OData, you can expose lots of data, and client will request depending upon their need. So these are the some of the reference. Any questions?
What kind of applications should use OData since they can expose metadata and almost every information? So how we secure the things?
Yes, security. I have not included any security. Like you can use change interceptor or anything. First, I saw that Netflix has exposed a OData service, so I have also made some request using that OData service. So you can limit also what you want to expose. Like you can check whether which parameter one end user can use. And suppose you have a column say title, you want to restrict the user to order by title. You can do that same using the show data. You can add several customization also. But if you have some open data and want to expose the to the whole world, you can do easily using this OData service. Okay, thank you.